Hello, I'm Michael Willis, and welcome to the first ever Wrestler for Life fan talk. If you haven't already, check out the website wrestlerforlife.com, subscribe to the newsletter, and keep up to date with the latest happenings and contests going on in the wrestling world. Today we're going to be discussing the hottest team of the offseason, the Iowa Hawkeyes, what their lineup's going to look like the next couple years, and some of the big recruits they're bringing in. To start with, we're going to discuss the two big transfers the Hawkeyes brought in the offseason, both 133-pounders, Drexel's Austin DeSanto and Nebraska's Jason Renteria. These guys are going to be a huge help to the Hawkeyes because last year they did not qualify 133 at NCAAs. Both of these wrestlers were qualifiers. DeSanto was round of 12 as a true freshman, and Renteria actually missed weight at the big tournament. So that is a note of concern. However, going forward, Renteria has said he plans on staying at 133 for the remainder of his career. DeSanto has expressed interest in moving up to 141, but should be able to hold 133 for the Hawkeyes for at least a season. The 2018 recruiting class for the Hawkeyes was not a large one, but it did have substance. Their big get was the number 14 pound-for-pound wrestler, heavyweight Anthony Cassiope. Cassiope has been absolutely dominant the past two seasons of his high school career, only taking losses to Gable Steveson and Colton Schultz. Cassiope is going to slot in perfectly after Sam Stoll finishes up his redshirt senior year this season. Cassiope will slide right into the lineup at heavyweight. The other two notable wrestlers the Hawkeyes recruited were Nelson Brands, son of assistant coach Terry Brands, who is ranked 93 in the senior class. That being said, given his genetics, I don't think anyone's going to be surprised if he very much exceeds that ranking. The other wrestler is number 80, Aaron Cashman, who's predicted as a 125 or 133 pounder. And while he might have a difficult time cracking the lineup over the next couple of years, he is definitely a guy who has the potential to do some big things in college as well. So looking at the lineup for the 2018-2019 season, the Hawkeyes are going to start it off at 125 with returning national champion Spencer Lee. Lee won the title as a true freshman and looked absolutely dominant in doing so. However, he could have some competition if Dayton Fix from Oklahoma State starts at 125. He is a redshirt freshman as well, but it is yet to be determined if he will be a 125 or a 133 pounder. Honestly though, he is about the only wrestler I can see giving Spencer competition this year, based on how dominant he looked during his true freshman campaign. At 133, the Hawkeyes have some options. Last year, starter Paul Glynn will be in the mix, but like I said, he was not an NCAA tournament qualifier, so he's going to have an uphill battle winning that spot over DeSanto or Renteria. My guess is they go with Austin DeSanto next year and hold Jason Renteria in redshirt. At 141, we've got one of our first hotly debated weights in the lineup. We got three quality wrestlers there. Last year's NCAA qualifier, round of 16 guy, Vince Turk, very tough, got a nice double leg, solid wrestler. However, we also have Carter Happel, who was a four-time Iowa State champ, pinned All-American Tommy Thorne last year, another tough guy that would be a starter on most teams in the NCAA. And then finally, we have redshirt freshman Max Murin. Murin is a Pennsylvania guy who had a very good redshirt year and also had some very promising results this spring season in freestyle. At 149, we have Edinboro transfer Patricio Lugo. Lugo was round of 12 as a true freshman before a disappointing 0-2 performance as a sophomore at NCAAs. He then transferred to Iowa and took a redshirt, and he had a very solid redshirt season. He should be a guy that is expected to get on the podium next year, especially in a 149 weight class that's looking a little bit depleted. At 157, right now the penciled in starter is Caleb Young, which is interesting because last season Young spent time bouncing between 174 and 165, where their starter Alex Marinelli was out with an injury. Eventually he bumped up to 174 and did not win the lineup spot with Joey Gunther, who actually is transferring to the University of Illinois this year. However, like I said, Young seems to be on his way down to 157. Whether he can hold that for an entire season remains to be seen, but Young was actually the number 21 recruit in his senior class, so he is a guy with pedigree and a guy that, some people could be sleeping on. If he can hold the weight effectively, he could be having a very good season. At 165, Iowa will have their redshirt sophomore, the Bull, Alex Marinelli. Marinelli placed as a redshirt freshman last year. He took 6th at the NCAA tournament. 165 is the most loaded weight class in the country. That being said, Marinelli is tough as nails, and I would be very surprised if he missed the podium. At 174, the Hawkeyes have two-time All-American redshirt junior Michael Kemmerer. Kemmerer placed 3rd and 4th at 157 and is now making the bump up to 174. Whether or not he'll be able to be competitive with some of the bigger 174s, like Amin from Michigan and Zahid Valencia from Arizona State, remains to be seen, but he is such a talented wrestler, I think he will be able to hold his own. That being said, 174 is a tough weight class. You know, you've got former national champ Mark Hall, Zahid Valencia, Amin, Jordan Cutler of Lehigh. So he's moving into a very tough weight class. It will be very interesting to see how he does 2 weight classes up. At 184, we're going to see Cash Wilkie. Wilkie was the 197 pounder for the Hawkeyes the past 2 years, where he made round of 12 at the NCAAs. Apparently, that was a bit of a bump for him, so 184 is closer to his natural weight. So Hawkeye fans are very excited to see what damage he can do down a weight. And then the reason he is dropping down a weight is because stud redshirt freshman Jacob Warner is filling in at 197. Warner had a great redshirt season last year, took a couple of weird losses at Midland, but basically showed he has the potential to be a national champion contender right out of the gates. Not to mention he had a phenomenal freestyle season as well. And then finally at heavyweight we have Sam Stoll. Stoll is the highest returning heavyweight placer, so he will be in contention for a national title next year. However, he did take a gunshot wound to the knee in the off season, so we'll see how he's recovering from that. However, if he is good to go, him and Nick Nevels, and if Gable Steveson, the #1 recruit in the country from last season, starts as a true freshman, he's obviously going to be in the mix as well. But Sam Stoll is another guy that the Hawkeyes are counting on contending for a national title. While the Hawkeyes will have an extremely strong team next year, I still don't see them legitimately contending with Penn State for the title. Penn State just still has too much firepower with 4 previous national champions in their lineup. So the Hawkeye lineup for 2019-2020 will look very similar to the 2018-2019 lineup because the only graduating starter they have is Sam Stoll. And like I said, Anthony Cassiopeia will slide right in there and do pretty well as a redshirt freshman, I'm thinking. The other difference in the lineup that we might see is at 133, DeSanto will probably take a red shirt and Renteria will slot in there. In addition to that lineup, they've also got some pretty big recruits coming in. I assume we will see them redshirt as the rest of the lineup is pretty well manned, but they have number 32, Zach Glazer, who I've seen projected anywhere from 174 to 197. And then also number 13, Abe Assad, who I believe will be a 184 pounder, but again, I've seen him at 174 and 184. The 2021 season for the Hawkeyes is going to be a mix of some veterans and some new faces. So at 125, Spencer Lee is going to enter his senior year. I don't see him taking a red shirt. He's that dominant and doesn't need one. He's going to go straight through and then into his international career. At 133, we'll have Jason Renteria coming in as a redshirt junior. Then at 41, we'll have Austin DeSanto bumped up, also as a redshirt junior. At 149, Patricio Lugo had graduated, so Max Murin will make the bump from 141 to 149. He will also be a redshirt junior. 157, I've got Caleb Young penciled in as a redshirt senior. Whether he can maintain 157 until his senior year remains to be seen. Nelson Brands might be in the mix for that spot as well. At 165, I have penciled in Pat Kennedy, who will be a true freshman. Kennedy is currently ranked number 8 in his class and has already committed to the Hawkeyes. At 174, I think we see Zach Glazer, who will be a redshirt freshman, followed by another redshirt freshman at 184, Abe Assad. At 197, we'll have redshirt junior Jacob Warner, and then finally at heavyweight, we will have redshirt sophomore Anthony Cassiopeia. That will be an extremely solid lineup as well. Granted, you know, we're speculating 3 years out at this point. Anything can happen, kids can get injured, transfers can occur, yada yada yada. So take everything I've told you with a grain of salt, because who knows, this is one man's guess. Thanks again for watching the first ever Wrestler for Life fan talk. I hope you enjoyed it. We plan on doing some other colleges in the future, Penn State, Ohio State, Oklahoma State, and some of the smaller ones as well. But I hope you enjoyed it. Please check out the website, wrestlerforlife.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Stay engaged with the sport. Stay active and keep on wrestling.